Sony has the market. Like it's kind of natural and normal to think, why not make it for Sony? Yes, they have one. It's $300 and nobody could ever get it, right? There's always a need. And then I continued with this point. Listen, even if it was available, if Sony made their own camera cages, does that mean that Tilta and Small Rig and Wooden Camera shouldn't even try to make camera cages? Welcome back to another episode of the iFilmmaker Podcast. My name's Ariel Martinez. With us, Big Magic Harry Mike on the screen.
You'll never leave me. What's up, guys? I am not next to you.
You are not.
Because I heard you didn't take a shower for a month.
Sorry, man. It's that time.
All that golf. It's just that golf.
I was going to say it's that time of the month, but it's actually not a good joke.
Yeah, that's why I just kept going with it.
Oh, man. Oh, man. How you been? It's been a little while since we've done an episode together.
It has been, man. I got a new hat. Check it out. Yeah.
God is your designer. That's fantastic.
No. Read it again.
God is a designer.
Yes.
God is
He's not your designer. He is.
I said
that's
yours because you're the one wearing it.
But he's yours too.
I know that. I get it, but you're the one making the statement with that hat.
Listen.
I'm just trying to be grammatically correct.
He is a creative, and that's the field we're in, and that's awesome.
Amen. Hallelujah. So, on this episode, I need to bring up a post that got a lot of attention for some reason, and I need to say stuff about this.
Get it off your chest.
I need to get this off my chest. So I made a post. Apparently, Tascam, we're gonna be talking about gear today, so get ready. I love this.
I do have a question.
What's up?
They're not sponsoring this.
They are not.
This
Tascam
podcast.
has nothing to do with it.
Oh yeah, I figured.
Because it's not gonna be all glamorous what I'm gonna say about this, but it's not anything crazy bad. Just something I was wondering about. So Tascam came out with an audio unit. It's called the Tascam CA-XLR2d audio XLR adapter. And they specifically, in the article for Cine D, they specifically mention Canon, Fujifilm, and Nikon. And it just says development announced, right? So I'm like, great, this is awesome. But wait a minute, there's something missing here. Where is Sony? Why wouldn't they promote it with Sony? Are they not making it for Sony? Why would they decide to not make it for the company that has pretty much the entire market, like the biggest bulk of the market? They're not putting it out. And I figured in my head, I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is something that only communicates through hot shoe mounts, right? With an interface with these cameras. Canon has it. I think Fujifilm has it. Even Panasonic has it. By the way, I don't see Panasonic here either. So I'm thinking maybe Sony's not allowing them to make it because they already have their own, just like Panasonic. Panasonic is not here either. However, as I read in this article, it says that it's the same thing. It's an XLR unit that you put on top of a mirrorless camera with a shotgun mount, has 2 XLR inputs, has a lot of nice buttons and stuff like that. Great. What everybody wants. Everyone that has a mirrorless camera would love to have this unit. I know that the K3M, even for you were trying to get it. It's almost
impossible.
It was almost impossible.
Arriving tomorrow.
It's arriving tomorrow?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get it? You've been trying to get it for a long time.
Dude, like 2 or 3 years. It's on back order.
2-3 years?
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's a conspiracy to push everyone to buy the FX3 since it already comes with it.
Right.
So I think that's all it was. They made everyone want to use it. Yeah.
So granted, they have theirs. All right. So maybe this is only hot shoe mount. But wait, it is not. There's a part here in the article that says there will be a cableless solution. Because in the picture, I see one on Nikon that has a cable running from the unit to the headphone jack. So I'm thinking maybe it's going in through the headphone jack. You just get XLRs and then the audio comes in separate tracks maybe or in separate channels. There will be a cableless solution for cameras with a digital hot shoe interface as well as an analog cable solution for cameras without it. Meaning, if a camera doesn't take it through the hot shoe mount, you could use it with the cable. Wouldn't
Mhm.
that be an amazing incentive to say, hey guys, get it for Sony? If it's
Mhm.
not, if it's on back order, you could still get this one. I don't even know the price of this thing. But the funniest thing is that as soon as I posted it, everyone started coming on me and saying, well, there's one guy that is actually a listener of the show, and it says, you must be living in a small world if you think that everybody uses Sony. I had to pray about it before I responded. But no, essentially, no. We had a good sort of back and forth. I said, well, listen, Sony has the market. Like it's kind of natural and normal to think, why not make it for Sony? Yes, they have one. It's $300 and nobody could ever get it, right?
Mhm.
There's always a need. And then I continued with this point. Listen, even if it was available, if Sony made their own camera cages, does that mean that Tilta and Small Rig and Wooden Camera shouldn't even try to make camera cages? If Sony has their SD cards, does that mean that SanDisk or these other companies, Lexar, whatever, should they not make SD cards? Like, what's your point here? I don't understand that. So that was the whole deal there. I needed to get that out because I'm like, I can't respond. I literally got over 20 messages.
I'm a great listener. Just spill it.
I literally got over 20 messages, and I was about to make that same argument 20 different times.
Yeah.
It was a big waste of time. So I had to like sort of come out here and sort of talk about that and kind of let people know what I feel like it's marketing 101. Only because there's a product available doesn't mean you can't now make a product. You can still make it. So why wouldn't you make it and market it to the to the people whose manufacturer of camera, Sony, is basically taking the entire market. It's the most popular camera right now.
It's possible that's just licensing, issues with Sony.
It doesn't have to be a licensing issue. I don't need a license from Sony to make a product that could be used with Sony. It's like, do people that make an iPhone case, do they have to get a license from Apple to sell that?
We've talked about this one before. Yep. I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an accessory.
I'm still on that conspiracy thought that because I know I'm still holding on to it, but the FX3 being released and being on back order, what I purchased, and all of a sudden Tascam comes out with this, Sony, Nikon, and it's not including Nikon and Canon, and it's not including Sony. All of a sudden they released the the MK3. No. What I just purchased? I just purchased it.
K3M.
Oh, mercy. Yeah, the K3M.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, they finally released after all this time the K3M right when this one comes out.
That was actually surprising because
some of the
arguments that I was making was, well, you can't even buy that. And then just to verify, I go and make sure. I'm like, damn it, it's available. But anyways,
hey, I'll tell you what, I was happy.
I know, no, that's fine. But listen, it's just it doesn't defeat. Like my point is still intact.
Yeah.
Make it anyways. Yeah. Make it more affordable. And make it so that, like, for example, an incentive is like, what if people have multiple different cameras? What if they don't only have Sony? Why would they get the K3M if they can't use it on their Pocket 6K or their Canon? Make it available.
Like for example. I own Sony, but I'm on a lot of shoots that they already own Canons. So if I had that with me, it would be great to invest in that so I could use that on both platforms, but I can't.
Yep. No, exactly. And so that was essentially my point. And a lot of people just kept on with Sony already has theirs. It's like, so? that's sort of my point. Were you one of the people? No. Were you one of the people that messaged me saying that Sony already has theirs?
No.
Oh, okay.
I messaged you that, yo, it came out, I'm buying it.
Oh, yeah. And that's when I responded to you. I was like, yeah, I just saw it. It kind of messed up one of my points, but whatever that I was trying to have online. Listen, the fact that there's a cable and it works with the Sony, I'm assuming, right? Like, why wouldn't it work? Right? It's an analog cable solution for cameras. It should, right?
Why don't they say it?
Why don't they say it? That's an interesting point. I'll be honest, I didn't read the entire article, but it's just that should be a headline feature for those that have been waiting a long time to get the K3M. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It should be easily front and center on all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It is a really cool looking unit in the sense that it's essentially what everyone's been needing. And there has been a gap in the market. Oh, wow. So the Panasonic audio diode currently costs $394. So the Panasonic one costs $400.
I'm reading that right now.
The the K3M costs $600. Is that how much it costs? $600? That's how much I paid
Oh,
for it?
yeah.
Oh, man. I paid a
Oh,
lot for
yeah.
that. And it says that I guess they haven't even released the price yet, but it says
Carlos paid, I think back in the day, he told me he paid somewhere around like upwards of 800 or 9
for
it.
Sony one, K3M?
Yeah, when it first came out, yeah.
Yeah, they're pricey, man. If this comes out and it's like, let's say $300, $300, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
but essentially it's the difference between the A7S III and the FX3. Essentially it's just that.
Yeah. Yeah, but except that this is adaptable to any camera. It's cool if you can adapt it if the camera already has a hot shoe interface that you can still use it with, but it would even be more cool if they have internal recording. Hello.
Okay, that would be awesome.
Hello.
Yeah.
Put an SD card in this bad boy.
I was just working with an audio guy that he had that. He had a wireless transmitter out of his boom that also was a recorder.
Oh. Now see, I'm skimming through this article and I don't see anything called Sony.
I just checked. I just did a Command F find and it's only that price point. That's all it is.
So it doesn't mention Sony anywhere.
Nothing. Only the ads at the bottom.
It's so weird. Why?
Yeah, it's strange.
That is.
I don't know. I'm calling. Write them a letter.
No, it's just a weird marketing move.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's some sort of legality, like you can't use our name to promote this. Like
that's what I'm telling you. I'm almost sure it's something involved with lawyers.
That's so strange.
It's much bigger. It's licensing. It's something to it.
Right. So that is
you got that off your chest?
Rant number one. rant number one. The Tascam CA-XLR2d looks like a very cool product. It looks like it's going to be popular. I don't see the benefit. I mean, technologically, I don't see the benefit of making it match $600 or $700 or $800 when it comes out. But maybe, I don't know what they're planning on pricing this at. Because really, the people that are going to benefit, like, I feel like this is more catered to higher end YouTubers / commercial videographers that are thinking about getting a cinema camera, but
lower end, because the cinematographer is typically hire a dedicated audio guy.
No, I said videographer, not cinematographer.
Oh, okay,
there's a difference.
Oh yeah,
I think there's a difference.
I agree with you on that. That's a whole other show.
No, that's why I said videographer for sure. Commercial videographer, people, trying to step into that, like kind of starting, not knowing if they want to get into the cinema line or just stick with their mirrorless cameras. This might be a happy medium there to sort of make their camera into a relative cinema camera with XLR inputs, proper dials, etc.
But see, I'm used to working with audio guys, but I do have a gig tomorrow that's only 4 hours, and the budget only allows for, it's cushioned, it's good, but only for a one-man band. And it's nice to be able to have units like this,
Absolutely. Those one-man band jobs, although they require more work from you, you get more pay from that. You can charge a little extra because you're doing everything yourself. You can pocket a little extra, right? So you're charging a little bit more for audio, you're charging a little bit more for lighting, you're charging just a little bit more, but it's still less than hiring all that stuff separate, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you can.
I try to always at least come in with a PA.
Yeah,
that's like kind of my bare minimum. This one happens to be tomorrow, just complete by myself. But normally at least minimum a PA to help out.
That is the Tascam unit. Now let's talk about this price drop with Ursa, the Ursa 12K camera.
No one's buying it.
So there are two theories out there in the ether.
Okay.
There are two theories. One is that Blackmagic is about to drop another camera that it's similar, and that's why the price drops. That's usually what happens. And two, which is the one that I think, no one's buying it. I think they're dropping it because it's just This is you're telling people it's either the Sony FX9 or the Canon C300 Mark III or this camera, the 12K. And I say those 3 cameras because they're relatively close in price.
In price, yeah.
Yeah. So they're dropping dramatically from 10,000 to 6,000. That's a significant drop.
That's huge price point. Okay, but you have to also remember too, there's some issues in post.
Can you imagine pulling the trigger on this camera like a month ago?
Oh, well, it's like the housing market. I have a friend that just sold his house, and I'm like, hey, so what is it worth now? He goes, yeah, I lost 30 grand for just posting it like a month ago.
Oh, man.
Sucks.
Dang.
Yep. It happens, man. Technology moves fast, and this is a bummer for those who just purchased it.
That sucks. This 40% price drop made possible by efficacies in manufacturing combined with an improved supply of 12K sensors. They're saying that we're making them cheaper now. So that's what I don't believe that. I don't believe that. That's hard to believe.
I think well, it depends. There's 2 points of view. There's the excitement. Oh, I can finally afford this. It's Christmas. And there's the other one that just skeptical. Why? And it just opens up a bunch of questions. And that just brings lack of trust.
Yeah.
So, and I also know that I haven't worked a ton with it, but in post, there's been a lot of issues with post. Working with Blackmagics. Yeah. And the Premiere, having to use third-party, plugins or third-party companies to be able to use it with they have a dedicated codecs. It's just for them. And they essentially are trying to be like Apple, where it's an ecosystem, where it's just all their products from beginning to end, but they're not Apple and they're not there yet. And so, Resolve crashes all the time. You have to drop the resolution down like crazy. It's just not functional. So I wouldn't, even with the price drop, I just wouldn't consider it. You have to think of the whole production from beginning to end. It's not just about having a cool camera that can shoot 12K that essentially nobody needs. Nobody has a 12K TV or monitor.
Right.
And sure, we can get into post-production, zooming in capabilities and all that stuff. But 12K, we're not there yet. That's coming, but we're not there yet. Computers haven't caught up to that yet.
As a reminder, this camera does 12K at 60 frames, or you can shoot 8K at 120 frames. That's pretty nice. You do 4K at 240 frames.
Mm-hmm.
If you're shooting this at the highest bit rate, at the highest quality of 12K at 60 frames, it'll take 17 minutes to get you a terabyte of footage. 17 minutes is a terabyte of footage.
Jeez.
Yeah. Needless to say, this is not an event camera.
No way. No, man. That codex of Blackmagic RAW, man, it's a beast.
You have a question, Chris?
Yeah.
All right, let me welcome Chris.
Chris.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
The man, the myth, the legend.
So, I just had a quick question. Because you seem to know a little bit about the Blackmagic 12K mic. But when they came out with Blackmagic RAW, didn't they announce that it'd be smaller file sizes? So shouldn't it be easier to handle?
No, remember, so smaller file sizes means more compression. More compression means harder to render.
Mm-hmm. It's actually opposite effect.
I'm sorry?
It's the opposite effect of what one would think. Smaller, faster, but it's actually the opposite.
I'm sorry. You're confirming what I'm saying then.
Totally confirming.
Oh, okay.
I'm agreeing with you.
I thought you were telling me it's the opposite of what I said. I was like,
all right, let's start that again. Yeah, Chris. Shh, be quiet. Chris is gonna cut this out. Ready? And 3, 2.
Go.
Yeah, Eric, I totally agree with you, man. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. The only way to get smaller file sizes is to have more compression. Is to compress the full sensor.
Yeah,
you'll notice that it's interesting how that works, but once you understand it, it makes total sense. The more compression, the more the computer has to uncompress, right? I don't know the full science or terminology or whatever, but your computer is working more to uncompress it so that it could have a smooth playback. The more it has to uncompress, the more it has to work, and then all that stuff. So Essentially, less compression equals smoother playback. So at least that's
And
all.
I believe that they even have their own editing software, and they're just trying to push you towards it. And so it works natively with that, but that's about it. So everything
Right.
else needs to catch up with, you know, third parties and plugins and stuff to make it work. It's just such a headache. Even with the price drop, not convinced.
I'd be interested to see what a Blackmagic mirrorless camera would look like. Not a cinema camera, an actual mirrorless camera. Because remember, they're coming from the point of view of, they're coming from DaVinci, right? They never really made cameras. DaVinci is like an industry standard for colorists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're trying to make cameras to cater to that program. But what if they tap into like the YouTuber world, where you got these creators and people just wanting to make content, and they don't necessarily need a mirrorless camera. They need a camera that can do essentially an A7S III sort of competitor, you know?
And how do you think that the Pocket Cinema 6K fits into that world?
It doesn't at all. No way. No way. People want to try and make it fit, because I will admit, I'm sure you can get a much nicer image with the Pocket 6K, but you're going to work a lot more. There's no way around that. There is none.
Yep.
And if you think it's a different price point, kind of, but not really, because one battery with the Pocket, you're looking at 30, 40 minutes. One battery with the A7S III, you're looking at 2 to 3 hours, which is a huge, significant difference. So you either roll with that, or you're going to have to get a V-mount battery. And with that comes a plate. With that comes a cage. With that comes the rails. With that comes...
It's no longer a little tiny camera.
It's no longer a little tiny camera.
It's not
so
functional
you're either
that way.
replacing batteries a lot, and you have to keep them with you, and not to mention charge them all in between shoots, or you get a nice little big setup.
Yeah.
It's no longer a small camera.
Yeah, I have a friend who's right now in between Sony or that camera, and he just loves the color. And I get it, you know, the color's great.
What's not to love? I've never said anything against the image quality of that camera. It's just it's not great. Even in the ballpark with ergonomics and usability and like the menu might be user friendly, but that's great. But that's it. There's nothing else there. Like for creators that just need to create constantly. Listen, if I can get in and out of that door faster because of the camera that I'm using, and not like, and getting a very nice image quality, I'd rather roll with that, man. You know?
Yeah, but everyone has different priorities, and I believe like when you're green, you're just so 100%. Trying to, when you're coming in, you just want to have all the tools, and if you have all the tools, you're magically going to be competing with movies, and you know it's just one of those things that comes with experience. You know, it's functionality.
And here's the thing, and anyone that wants to get into like cinematography, coloring, if you're really that passionate about the image quality, then for sure get the 6K, but know what you're getting yourself into. Like if you're just trying to make it, but for now you're getting gigs for weddings and events, you're gonna struggle on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that for that.
It's the unfortunate truth. You have to. Not that you can do whatever you want, but, you know, I always go with what brings me the money, you know? I cannot justify buying anything else. Listen, for years, I've wanted to pick up a Blackmagic camera. I think the G2 was like the closest I got to pulling the trigger on that camera. But there's never been a time where I could justify it. I can never justify that purchase, because it's really just to sort of stroke my desire of wanting a nicer image quality, right? But I know I'm going to work hard for it. Not one person, not one of my clients in my career has ever asked me for a Blackmagic camera. Never. One time, ever.
My end either. Nope.
So many times I get asked for the FX9. Back when I had the FS7, they wanted the FS7.
Workhorse.
I got asked for a Canon cinema camera a lot, but not as much as Sony, which is why I'm with. Listen, if I was getting asked for Canon all the time, you better believe I'm buying a Canon. You know?
Yeah, it's where the market is.
It's where the market
I think it's
is.
I think it's the concept of a hobbyist. You know, a hobbyist goes for the glitz and glam of whatever it is that they're excited about. But when you're running a business, you can't just look at the feel and the emotion of certain things. There are some sacrifices you have to make. So it's hard. to think I'm going to sacrifice color and look.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if you have no way of paying for it, it's just not a smart business decision. So sometimes you have to, I had a guy who got into this business and he was asking me for some advice, and he was all Nikon. He wanted to go all Nikon for video. And I was like, So I was like, let me ask you a question. Most of the people that you work with, that you get work from, what do they use? That was like my first question. He's like, all Sony. I'm like, okay, so you're going to own what glass? I'm going to own Nikon glass. Okay, so when you come and you're going to work with all the people you work with, you get a lot of work from them. You're going to be the only one with that brand. What's going to happen when you need to pop in a different lens? Because you don't own every single lens and every single millimeter. And we're going to need that on our set. Oh, well, then, yeah, what am I going to do? I don't know.
Yeah.
You're not ready for that. Yeah. But if you had the same ecosystem of mainly the people that are getting most work from, you could just easily just adapt to that. And he went Nikon. He went for it, bought it, spent all the money on it. It's great stuff.
Yeah.
No knock on it. And next thing you know, guess what happened? He sold it.
Yeah.
And went Sony.
Of course.
Yeah. On his own.
Because that's where the market is. Yeah. I've done the same thing with, I'm not going to say his name. I had him on a podcast one time. He made the purchase. And he's probably going to hear this. He's not going to care. He made the purchase of the Pocket 6K because he's going from photography to video. And next thing I saw, he posted that he got the Pocket 6K Pro and a bunch of cinema glass. And I was like, I could not believe that. I'm like, you're just tapping into video. You're very new to video. You're a photographer, granted. You're very new to video. Mind you, a photographer, they do autofocus all the time. They don't, do manual focus.
They don't understand.
So this man
focus
went
pulling,
straight
all
for
that.
the Pocket 6K Pro and the cinema glass. Again, beautiful image quality. But I called him right away. Why did you do that? Why wouldn't you call me? Like, why? Like, no. And he shoots sports. Oh, man. That hurt.
Yeah. Not sure what to say.
So it's funny. So we just recently shot an event together, the Granite Games. And I brought both my FX3s.
Okay.
He was hating life. He was hating life.
Why?
Because he had his Pocket 6K Pro rigged up with a V-mount battery, a nice a big monitor with cinema glass. Like, that thing was a big rig, huge rig. Next thing you know, I'm there with my FX3, a top handle, and a 70 to 200 lens. That is it. That's all I needed. Dude. Every time I look over, the guy is fussing with his gear. He's literally trying to get in a comfortable position to get some good shots. Constantly. The poor guy, I kept laughing at him. He was laughing too. He's like, bro, why did I do this? So he recently.
Well, it's good when you can have fun with it.
Oh no, yeah, he's a super cool guy.
But he's like rack and focus the entire time.
Oh my gosh, rack and focus the entire time. Whereas I'm showing him shots where these athletes are running toward my camera at full blast speed perfectly. I'm there at f2.8 with the 70 to 200, getting gorgeous shots of like slow motion, everything. I'm getting 60 to 120 frames per second. Perfect focus, not losing focus one time. Oh, gorgeous. And you can't do that manual,
No.
If you could, it takes years and years and years of practice, and it takes many, many takes. Right?
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not going to get it first take every time. Sometimes
it's rare.
Depending on the feel, it could be nice that it breathes.
Yes,
it breathes in and out. That's cool. Like, I'm not against that, and so that's simple. You go to manual, and then we get the same thing.
But the problem is that you risk missing focus in the
critical
moments that matter. And I like that too. There's an option there, and I've used it all the time. Once you get used to the whole focus thing, on the lens itself, there's a focus hold button. I like it when people run past the camera and I hold that so it doesn't rack focus over to the background and it stays there.
It's awesome.
Because I'm thinking in the edit, that's a good cut right there. So, I don't know. It's
my guy that was about to buy it, I was like, dude, I just did a shoot yesterday and I needed it to be dead on focus the entire time. I was like, what would you have done if I would have hired you for that with that camera? Would you have nailed it? I said you had one chance. That was it. He was like, yeah, probably not.
Those are the things that are important. But again, you have to go with what you want to shoot. You can still get gorgeous work done with the FX3, A7S III, Sony, Canon, EOS R, whatever. Like, you go with something that's a lot more feasible, that can check a lot of the boxes of the jobs that you're going to be getting.
Yeah, it really all depends on what you're getting.
Right.
Because this camera that we're a bit knocking off right now, but there's so many great jobs that are for that. And live streaming, great. Blackmagic for live streaming is fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about one area. But yeah, go for what makes sense.
I always feel bad every
sense.
time I go on a rant like this, because look, guys, pocket cameras, gorgeous. I always go back to
let's go back.
Gorgeous cameras. But we're talking about the way that we need to work and what the market is asking for. It's unfortunately that suits a very specific kind of shooting, which is production. Not very specific, but a specific type of shooting, which is production, controlled environments, things that is what's going to happen, which sometimes that's the case and sometimes it's not. So it's good to have something that could check off everything. You have a camera that can shoot, and it's easy to shoot whether that's the case or not, whether you're in control or not. You could do it no matter what. And if you have money, get them both,
Also, one of the simple questions too before you get started on a shoot, if you're not going to be handling posts, is with the client, it's like, do you want 1080, 4K, what? Because the reality is it affects whatever posts, whoever's handling posts. Because I remember when I first was editing for when 2020 happened and everything happened with that, if you know what I mean, and Orange Theory Fitness contacted me to basically lead up their editing department and I had an old Mac, and dude, they wanted hour and 20-minute long workout sessions with all sorts of effects and animations and all sorts of things. I mean, that timeline was red all the way across. To export that, oh my God. So of course, I had to adapt. But like, if that would have been 4K, no, my computer would have just blown up. But
gotcha.
But you have to think about these things too when you're going into shoots and you're not even handling the post.
I've actually asked clients all the time, just like you, kind of camera settings because they always contract me to do, we got an interview there, just get some interview, B-roll, whatever it is, Zoom meeting, Zoom interview, whatever it is. But they always like leave out camera settings. Like they never kind of specify that for the most part. I would say 9 out of 10 times they leave it out. Then I have to ask them, and normally they don't know. And then my first thing is, all right, well, can I get in contact with whoever's going to be editing this, and let's see what you guys are working with. And
that's great.
Just to make sure that, it's just an extra step that you need to take to make sure they're getting what they need, even if it's not your fault that they didn't tell you, it's your fault to provide that customer service and make sure that your customer is getting a good product.
Yeah, it's a nice professional thing to do. Think about the whole production, even if you're not handling the back end.
Have you ever had an issue where, when I first discovered ProRes recording externally, I always wanted to deliver that. But one time I made the mistake of, what was it? I think it was, I recorded ProRes and it was for online delivery, but it was like ProRes HQ and I overdid it.
Oh, HQ.
I had to go in and process. I had to go in and like make essentially proxies, but proxies from HQ is like normal recording. It was like I had to make them into like much smaller files and then deliver them. I did not bake because I don't remember
time code.
No, I don't remember if they said that they wanted it flat or with color. I think they wanted it with color, and I recorded flat, right? So I kind of had to go in and reprocess them with a LUT baked in. So I kind of overdid that. You ever did anything like that where you're delivering the external, or do you always deliver like the internal recordings?
Mostly, it's been internal. Yeah. I had one time but they requested just proxies, and there was no LUT, so we didn't shoot flat, so it was an easy output. I
always automatically assume S-Log3. Always, that's by default for me. But if they're not sure, even the editor is not sure, I'll always go S-Log2.
But when I shoot at the studio, they never want flat. they don't have time to worry about that in post,
It's
which is
so funny.
Which is
because
interesting.
I guess it's interesting because the way that we do color, we
Yeah.
don't do color the correct way like a colorist would. Don't get me wrong, I still like my results, but a colorist would take so much time to get probably a nicer image.
Yeah.
But for what we need, placing a LUT, tweaking the exposure a little bit, that takes 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not creating a bunch of nodes and just like every little detail.
Exactly.
Just
So
what this.
So yeah, every time I always hated that when people say, "Yeah, this is a quick turnaround." So yeah, let's go ahead and put Rec 709 or something like that. I'm like, I hate it because I lose dynamic range.
Yeah, it's like, it's baked in.
I hate it. So,
and if you screw something up, exposure something, like you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you can't bring that back. But what I would probably do, I don't know if they need it. Like, I have my LUTs baked, like installed on both my Shogun Inferno and my Ninja 5. So I would just record on the monitor, nice LT files. They're very, very small. Or if they want it a little bit better, 422. Like now I have a better understanding of how to use it, obviously.
Yeah.
That whole thing was back when I first discovered this.
Nice. I'm recording right now, Prores 422.
There you go. Hey.
There you go. Hey, what?
Is that too big?
Hey.
Might be too big for this.
You asked for internal, so I'm just doing it as a backup.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, man. So I just don't do too much of that. I don't fuss with that too much. But if they do want color, I mean, now with the FX3 and even with the A7S3 with you, you could always do a Cinetone, which it's fine. You lose dynamic range. An option that I would take, depending on the client, who it is, if it's a one-timer and it's an event, like nothing crazy, I do Cinetone.
For events, I do Cinetone.
But if I feel like, man, this deserves a little bit more like a little bit more care, just because I kind of like this content, I would probably do it internal and Ninja 5 with the baked LUT. Because I like my LUTs. I like the Phantom LUTs. So I would bake that into the shot. Because I really like how they look as I'm shooting it. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
So,
and it helps them too, because a producer comes by who may not know too much about what's going on.
They see that footage
in the flat world. They go, oh yeah, but when they see flat, they're like, wait, they have so many questions.
It's so funny.
It's like one of those, trust me. Trust me.
It's so funny. I have a client that I've been working with for many years, and this is one of the fun. I think this is one of the funniest revision requests that I've gotten. So with this client, what my normal thing is, we make a video. I edit a video for them. I use for the stock footage, I'll use the watermarked version of all the footage. So they could approve. If they all approve, whatever, then we'll go in and purchase the license and we'll replace them. But I guess they had somebody new there that has never reviewed videos before.
Oh no!
And they kept giving me like, why is Pond 5 on everything? Like, we see that. That doesn't I don't think that should be part of the video.
Did it say pond5.com?
Oh no, because it's not from the audio. It's like it's smacked. Obviously, it's the watermark. Pond 5, Adobe stock. Like he's literally like he made a comment on every single watermarked stock.
It says a lot. It says all you need to know.
I'm like, and the funny thing is, I kept replying like, this is just a stock footage. If you approve, but I kept seeing on my frame account, he kept putting those comments. So I had to call over there. I didn't know who the guy was. I called the person that I'm mostly in contact with. I'm like, listen, tell your boy that is just, because I guess they're not looking at his comments, because somebody should have told him. Tell your boy that this is just stock footage. Like
you should have nailed him by just starting off by tell your intern.
Tell your intern. Yeah, this is one of the clients that I'm very comfortable with. Like we have a good relationship. So
nice.
It was funny. I thought it was hilarious. I was gonna post a screenshot, but I wasn't gonna go that far.
Ouch. Yeah, ouch. The relationship isn't that good.
Yeah, it's not that good. At least I don't want to assume anything.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
That's hilarious. Crazy. That is hilarious. So, speaking of editing, do you see that there's a shift happening at least in the commercial world with regards to NLEs, do you think, because right now Premiere is still pretty dominant in the commercial world for us, like a lot of the people that we do, do you think that there's going to be a shift over to DaVinci? It seems like they're really trying to make moves, and they've been doing it for some years now.
It reminds me of when Final Cut 7 was a big deal, and Premiere just went through this massive launch where they dropped the prices down like crazy for a short period of time, and everybody was crossing over. And this is about this is about 8 years ago. And I remember I was Final Cut 7, and I was like, man, I don't know that I want to learn something new. You know, we talked about that before, learning something new to try to keep up with the times. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to do this. But the price was so good. Like, I was like, let's do it. I kind of feel like it's moving and pushing towards that again. And, you know, the other day I was talking to this guy who's just getting into this and he wants to focus on editing. He's like, yo, DaVinci's free? And I'm like, yeah, man, go for it. It's free.
I think that they still have ways to go. I've edited in DaVinci. I've made full videos, even green screening. I did several videos for my church when I was really considering switching. But it kind of like slapped me back to reality when I had to collaborate with people. Like
that's the biggest issue.
I think that is definitely the biggest issue. It's just non-existent, right? Like big collaborative projects. It's just not there. It's just not there. And I got some pretty good big gigs where they needed me to come. My client needed me to come to their office and edit, sure enough, Premiere on some projects that they were doing. And yeah, it's still definitely, DaVinci has some ways to go for sure. In my opinion, I don't think that they're even close. I think that they got all the YouTubers. They got, or most of the YouTubers, I'm not sure, but they definitely have ways to go for sure.
It kind of goes back to our conversation of just, you know, business, knowing your surroundings and making a business decision about it. And same thing, man, cross-platform. You know, it happens to me all the time. The editor's like, yeah, I'm on this platform. Cool, so am I. But if I wasn't, man, and then I have another editor who's all DaVinci and one that's on Final Cut X, and we needed cross-platform, and we couldn't do it. Well, you could do it through MXL files, but it's just
XML.
XML, thank you. XML files. It's just not the same, man. It's just not the same as just being on the same platform.
Yeah. Yep. And the dynamic linking and all that stuff, it's pretty nice. And then you got like plugins, and
I'm not a fan of DaVinci Resolve's audio interface. I feel like it's not there.
I thought it was okay. Yeah. The small features that I've used. For example, I really like on the audio part where, you know how on Premiere, you could either edit the gain by pressing Command G, I think, or just G, and edit the gain to go higher or lower, or you could just get that bar on the actual clip, but that's not really the gain, that's just the volume. You know what I mean?
I go way deeper into audio in Premiere. I guess it's just because I've spent so many years on it.
Oh, then that's the thing. I'm very, I don't tweak too many things. But then in DaVinci, as you're moving that bar, it's actually changing the gain. I think it feels a little more tight. It feels like better, because I know that they now introduced it with Fairlight, I think, software. I don't know too much about this stuff. I might be completely
I don't know. I haven't spent too much time in
the one time I used 1 or 2 times I used DaVinci. That's what I seem to remember in the audio part tab. But other than that, nothing else really called out to me. Premiere is still the standard, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna hold on to being kind of like a grandpa and fully crossing over to Resolve. Be like, I don't want to learn it. Yeah.
No, at some point we're gonna have to do it. I've always preached like,
it's inevitable.
I mean, if they continue on this route, put it this way, and if Adobe continues to ignore what we're asking for, one of my biggest gripes with Premiere, the biggest one by far, is the export colors. Like when you export a video, it comes out flatter than what you were editing.
So there's a LUT specifically just for that I can send to you.
No, I have it. I
that-
have it.
you have
The
it?
gamma compensation LUT. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's okay. You know,
It
it's
is
something, but it's
it is
still not perfect.
Exactly. No. I'm right there
Yeah.
with you. It's better than not having anything. But
Have you
yeah,
updated your Premiere all the way out?
I think
Because I
so.
just recently exported out and it matched exactly what I saw on my Premiere.
Really.
And I don't know if it's an upgrade thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, something
You
to
know
look
what's
into.
funny is that sometimes it does it and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, that's weird.
And the only reason I know that is because sometimes I export it with that gamma compensation LUT and it's significantly more contrasted than before. So I go back, I remove it, export again, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to know when this is happening. Like, I don't understand.
Strange.
That's the weirdest thing. That's my biggest gripe. But, you know, this is after all the work is done. So
Do you get a lot of crash issues with Premiere?
no, not anymore, actually.
Okay, because I see it online. Everyone's always making fun of it all the time, but it doesn't really happen to me. So I'm just wondering.
Right. No, there was a time of a significant period of like 3 to 4 years where they were known for crashing. And it used to happen all the time. They've definitely
I must have been lucky because it never happened.
It never happened to you ever?
No, like every once in a while, but
Right,
gosh,
right.
it wasn't an issue.
Every now and then I'll get a project where something is disconnected. There's a bug in the project where I can't even export. For some reason, I can't play back 2 seconds. Like, I don't know what happened to that specific project. And it's only on that project. You know, I'll open up another project. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll copy over a timeline and add some stuff to it and export. And there's something in that timeline that causes the crash in Media Encoder. And so I just create a new timeline, copy and paste everything into a new timeline. Boom. Perfect. Strange.
So weird. I think the worst, the error codes I hate to see the most is when you're exporting and then you see error code on this frame. Like, ugh.
That had to happen the other day.
Worst. It's like, how do you fix this? What happened? What's on that frame?
Yeah.
And I'll go back. Hopefully I can, it's a clear, like, let me go over there. Maybe it's unlinked or maybe.
In the log, it tells you what clip, and I went to it and there was no issues. So I'm like, what is happening? Yeah.
I think so. The log will tell me exactly the frame, you know? So I'll go over
the time
there.
code.
Yeah. And I can sometimes figure out maybe it's a text that I put on there. Let me replace the text. Or if it's the clip, let me replace the clip, you know, and try to fix it that way.
So I went through all of those steps and it still happened. And when I created a brand new sequence and just copied and pasted it, fixed it. Weird.
It's so funny. You have to just troubleshoot it that way. When you don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Just the process of elimination, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's why experience with all this stuff matters. It's not usually a clear-cut answer.
We're creative problem solvers.
Mm-hmm.
We're mechanics for this industry.
Dude, we've already been going for 51 minutes.
Oh, shoot. And most of it's been ranting.
I know. Most of it has been ranting. I love it. This is the podcast.
I'm not sure.
Did you guys hear there's one piece of gear that you guys didn't mention that came out? Did you know Tilta came out with the R5 cooling system?
Oh, man, that's so funny. I thought they already had that, though.
No, did they just come out with it?
They did announce it. I saw it.
R5, R6.
But remember that came out with, when they announced the R5, the Canon R5, like the biggest joke with that camera is that it overheats in 20 minutes.
Right, yeah.
And then soon after they released it, Tilta came out with a fan specifically for that camera, an attachment. And we thought it was funny because it was a joke. Did they release something like, and yeah, just recently, Chris is saying that they released a fan for the R5, but I thought that was already out.
No, it says 4 days ago, I'm saying.
165.
That's
fun.
That shows you how bad the camera is.
Yeah, when you have to do
Wow, it's on back order. Apparently, a lot of people are buying it.
Oh, it's on back order.
Yeah, a lot of people with the same issue.
Maybe it's an upgraded version of it. See, this is the stuff that, like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why?
I saw that and I was like,
why would you do this to yourself? Why would you get a camera as beautiful as the image is, but it's just not reliable? You don't know if it's going to turn on for more than 20 minutes.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy.
Why would you do that to yourself? There's no possible way I could risk a shoot because my camera is just not turning on. That's not good professionally.
I wouldn't go into it knowing this is the issue. Yeah.
Of course not. And like, again, they're catering to YouTubers. YouTubers might not have a problem with it because they're not getting paid for the content that they're creating by clients, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, their audience is their client. And if it takes, you know, if they have to stop shooting and shoot the next day, they could do that, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, that won't fly. You know, like if our gear stops working mid-shoot, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. In fact, I think we had a shoot where one of the cameras overheated, and thank God we had a backup. So it was nice that happened. But it was also like 102 degrees out, and we were out there with no shade.
Oh gosh. Brings up a good question. What is the worst thing that has ever happened to you on shoot that you had to like on a set that you had to like really call an audible to get this resolved?
Let me think about this for a moment.
Just thought about that one.
Wow. Yeah. Trying to think of all the worst case scenarios. Sheesh. Oh, well, I was on a shoot ready to record, and I realized I didn't bring my SD cards.
Oh my gosh. That's happened to me a couple times.
Dude, I had to get the PA. Run, please, go to Walgreens. I don't care. Get the fastest thing they got, the biggest thing they got. Let's go. And then it cost me like $50 each, and I ended up returning it like the next day.
Oh man, I've done that a couple times where I've had to go to Best Buy or Walmart to get SD cards.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, I had to send it to Walmart. Yeah, because Walgreens doesn't. I don't know. They don't have anything good. But yeah, that was my. It was more embarrassing than anything else. It's like, oh, give us 15 minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I think it's the embarrassment factor.
Yeah. Yeah. One of them, I rented the photographer / videographer, because you know everything these days is like a double. He rented from I'm not gonna say the name, but an online rental service, and he rented the Ronin gimbal setup, and which is the Ronin. Now my brain is flat right now. The Ronin setup with the two sides and the whole thing where you put on massive systems.
Okay.
Are
it's like I don't know. It's an attachment type of deal.
No, it's the big one. It's the big Ronin, not the little gimbals, like the two. It's the bigger ones. Whatever. So he sets it up, and we get it. The whole thing is jacked up. Everything's not working. We call the rental service because it's online service. And lesson learned is if you're ever going to do a specialized piece of equipment like that, or like a Fisher dolly or something like that, you know, it's got to be local. And so they could send someone out for repairs or replace it, because we were stuck. And the whole shoot, it would just start tracking and going and just wouldn't.
That's one of the benefits. That's one of the benefits of renting local, is that you get that service. You know, they'll take care of you if something's off or missing. You can fix it quick, or they'll send somebody and they can even drop off and pick up the gear for you. It might be easier, and it's significantly more expensive, but sometimes that's worth it for that security. You know, I recently found out with regards to rentals that what a 3-day week is. I didn't know that. I always thought that they always charge you by how many production days you have. So if you have,
which makes sense.
If you have a week that you have 5 days of shooting, Monday through Friday, they'll only charge you for 3 days. You know, because that's still very profitable for them, for the gear that is being rented out. You know,
I've always loved it being on the end that I'm paying for it. But since you were telling me today
I rented my gear, like the local rental house out here. Like we have a great relationship. So they called me up. They said, hey, we need your FX9 and we need both of your FX3s. We need some lenses. We need a bunch of other stuff. And they were renting it. They had a 4-day shoot this week. And they had a 4-day shoot. And they said, hey, charge us for 3 days, but we have a 4-day shoot. Gave me no context, nothing. And I'm like, these guys are trying to take advantage of me. I'm like, I called them back. They didn't answer. So I texted them, hey, listen, if you're shooting for 4 days, it's only fair that you pay me for 4 days. So they called me. We had a good conversation. I didn't know this existed. And I was like, man, it made me uneasy just because I'm like, man, we have a good relationship. Why would they try to take advantage of me? Like, there has to be some sort of explanation to this. And I'm glad that they sort of kind of broke it down to me, which made sense. But even then, like, I verified with a bunch of other like shooters, cinematographers, people that rent a lot. They said, yeah, that's a thing that rental houses do. So I'm like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. I'm like, man, I had to apologize. You know, I felt bad. And the whole like thing of taking advantage of me, I never said that to them. Like I was,
it was in your head.
It was in my head. I'm like, man, it just made me
These
uneasy
sharks.
because like this comes up, like what follows is like an uncomfortable conversation. You know, either you let it slide or you kind of say what's going on here. But no, it makes sense. I'm glad that they cleared that up. Now I know. So anybody that has a relationship with a rental house like that, now you know. So that it was funny because first they asked, hey, if you can help us out with this discount, it was 40%. I'm like, no problem, of course. I don't mind. Like that's not a thing. But then I thought they took it further. Like, all right, now only charge us 3 days instead of 4.
Yeah. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
My grace has limits.
Yeah. So no, it's good that I know that now. But it's also good to consider that too, because there have been times where I've rented online only just because I thought that rental houses were going to charge me every single day of the shoot. So now that I have that understanding, I can sort of consider that next time I have to rent a bunch of gear for a bunch of days. So it's good to know that.
Gotta love production, man. There's so many things to learn and so many experiences in every aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a fun world.
One
of the things I love, I was just telling someone the other day that he has a 9-to-5. It's like one of the ones, and I wasn't bragging. He was asking me what our industry is like, and I was like, one of the cool things about what we do is it's the same thing essentially at the root, but it's always changing. It's always different.
I don't think I've ever had a shoot that has been the same ever.
Yeah.
Oh, I lied. No,
I had that entire year of Orange Theory Fitness every single day at 1.7 days
podcast.
a week.
Oh yeah, we do the I Am Athlete podcast, which is always the same. So okay.
It was always the same.
Yeah. I take that back. I take that back.
I was gonna call you out on it. But I'm like, all right, I'm gonna let.
I just thought about it now. I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I have. But even then, that was fun. Different conversations.
Yeah, but it's also revolving. Some people are positions like audio. They're revolving. Yeah, they get to meet new people and that's the one thing that's great about these productions. Like you get to meet new contacts.
Oh man,
you know.
So I was
the arsenal.
I was actually having a conversation with Chris one day. My background, like I got my degree in criminal justice, and my route was to be in law enforcement, right? So one of the things about
what a change.
One of the things about if I would have been in law enforcement, I would have been in every single action. Every time I get called, I'm going to like where there's a car crash, where there was a shooting, or there's domestic abuse, whatever it is. Like I'm there to sort of see this whole thing unfold. Things that like you and I don't get to see all the time, right? These are things that like if we're passing by, we're gonna stop and see what's going on. You know?
Yeah. We don't have to deal with it.
Huh?
Yeah, we don't have to deal with it.
Right. No. What I mean is like things that like it would still be an interesting job in the sense that you're always where stuff happens.
Yeah, it's just constantly changing, but
it's constantly changing. But now contrast that with what we do now. We get to just meet a lot of interesting people. We get a lot of opportunities. So I still think I would have had like a good adventurous job as in law enforcement. But now with my job, like, dude, I would have never thought I'd be shooting the I Am Athlete podcast with all these Hall of Fame players and Dwayne Wade and T.O. and Brandon Marshall and all these guys. Logan Paul Mayweather fight, you know, all these music videos with all these famous people. Just a bunch of people that we get to meet, that we get to interact with, that people would all the famous golfers, Dustin Johnson, like
So question for you: out of all the athletes or all the celebrities you've worked with, who was your aha, like the one that you just like, wow, I'm working with this person?
That's a good question, man.
Mine was Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders was cool.
Something about Deion Sanders, man, since I was a little kid, you know? And I'm not even big into NFL, but there's something strong about him. He's so cool. Obviously, D-Wade, too. That was fun.
Dwayne Wade. Yeah. Deion. Oh, man, that's a good one because I don't get starstruck. If it's funny because I think I got starstruck one time one time, and I can't even remember where it was or when it was, with who it was. Man, it's hard to. It has its highs and lows, man. I will tell you, the one that surprised me the most to work with is Logan Paul. Which is funny because
in what way?
So Logan Paul, as you know, he just recently fought Mayweather, and we got to shoot the inside access to this. So I was with Logan Paul a lot. We interacted a lot. We talked a lot, right? We had to be with him a lot. On camera, this guy comes off as a douche.
Yeah.
Right? Like you would think like, gosh,
Big time.
I hate this guy. And that's kind of like the role he plays. But man, the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He is nothing like that. Nothing like that. He's very considerate. Like, put it this way, he's very considerate. He looks around, makes sure that everyone's okay. He's still very like immature-ish in his ways, right? Yeah. I feel like he's sort of kind of outgrowing that whole phase of his life. But that's what I mean. Like, that's a surprise because in my perspective, I always see him as the jerk online, right?
Yeah.
But he's very considerate and whatnot, and he's super like willing to work 10 hours if they need another interview here or headshots over there. He's super cool, like super cool with everything.
I think it's all chalked up to just being a character.
Right.
That's what it is. It's a character.
I don't think his brother though plays that character though. His brother really lives that.
He's pretty authentic. I think
his brother Jake really lives that, and even he says it. Like Logan says it. Like, yeah, no, dude, Jake is like going off the deep end.
Were you on that shoot with Jake on I Am Athlete or no? Because I wasn't on that.
I was on that shoot with Jake.
So how was he there?
Jake was Jake, man. Jake was Jake. Smoked
off
out
camera
Jake.
Is still.
Man. Oh man. Jake was Jake. Can't say too much about it, but Jake was Jake. Just know that.
Yeah.
He's the same on screen and off screen.
Yeah.
Dude, so this was a great episode. Welcome back, Mr. Harry Mike.
You got a lot off your chest on this one.
I did. I did.
That's what I'm here for.
Appreciate it. I can slap you up with my rants.
I can take them.
All right, man. So reminding people again, where can they find you? What is your Instagram and website stuff?
Sure. TN Studios Inc. and tnstudiosinc.com.
There you guys have it. Thank you guys for listening to this episode, and we will catch you on the next one. Later.